course, agriculture has changed a lot and will continue to change, but it's also an industry that change comes at a pace. So you have one chance to get things right per year. So a lot of trust, a lot of a lot of risk as well, depending on how you want to change. So I think that kind of drives the profile of the average person in agriculture to be open to change, but also to be mindful, to be respectful of the past. And I think that is just the common thing that I see across the people that are involved in this industry.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Wisenetix Podcast, where agribusiness leaders and innovators share their stories and insights to inspire the next generation of agricultural excellence. Today we have the honor of speaking with Geraldo Mattioli, a seasoned executive with nearly 30 years of experience in the crop nutrition industry. He has held leadership roles across Brazil, United States, and Europe, including serving as president of Yara North America. Geraldo, welcome. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure, and really appreciate the invitation to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's start light. After so many years abroad, what do you still miss most about Brazil?
Yes, it's been almost 20 years now, Victor, so it's a long time. And I still miss a lot, of course, but I'll just to keep the list short. Of course, I must say I miss the people a lot. I miss my family, but I also miss my friends, my colleagues from previous works in Brazil. So yeah, that is always going to be the case. I have my heart in Brazil for sure. Then I also miss kind of the light spirit of the Brazilian people. The ability to improvise, to have the positive attitude all the time, and so that kind of a Latin approach that we have in Brazil, the culture that it's definitely something I miss a lot as well. So.
Yeah.
But that's life, and we try to go back and visit and stay in contact with friends and in the Brazilian environment as much as we can.
Very good. Yes. What about the Brazilian food? Brazilian barbecue?
Oh yes, that is also something that we miss a lot, but at least that we can make at home, and we can find some decent meat everywhere we go, and then it's easier to do that than bring the people all the time to stay with us. So
yeah, it's true. So Geraldo, just to give our audience some context, could you walk us through your professional journey? I mean, from your beginning as an agronomist in Brazil to leading large-scale operations in North America and Europe.
Sure, I'll try to make it short. It's been a long time since I started back in the 90s after I graduated from agronomy in Piracicaba in Exalc. So I joined at the time it was a family-owned company as a trainee, commercial trainee at the time. That was a fantastic experience, and then allowed me to see so many fronts of the business that I was not able to see before at college. So anyways, started there as an agronomist at the field level, calling on farmers, calling on growers and channels, distributors. Then from there, over time, I got exposed to more senior positions, agronomy, marketing, eventually commercial management roles, and then eventually I had the opportunity to move to a different company that was a global company. And that's when, Victor, I really became exposed to global markets and opportunities that eventually led me to where I am today, living outside of Brazil and having the ability to work at a global level.
You've worked across multiple continents. What were the most significant differences you noticed in agribusiness culture between Brazil, US, and Europe through these years?
There's definitely some key differences that I can mention now. For one is the growth of the ag sector per se. So I'll give an example. When I was still in Brazil in the fertilizer industry, the market when I was early in my days, the market was around 6 or 7 million tons of fertilizer per year. So that is the kind of gives an indication of the state of agriculture back in Brazil 25, 30 years ago. If you look at the Brazilian market today for fertilizers, Victor, is probably around 45, 50 million tons. So that market more than tripled or multiplied by 5 or 6. So, and I'm mentioning this as an example of how much the ag sector grew in Brazil. And you compare that growth with the stability, the more developed markets we have in Europe and North America for agriculture. So there's a big difference. So with that comes challenges and opportunities. So I think the setup in Brazil is much more immature. So the challenges are definitely there in terms of infrastructure and risk, and but also there's a lot more opportunities. So another example that I can bring is the kind of the relative importance or relevance of the ag sector for the economies. So in Brazil, ag is one thing that goes really well. A lot more people come into ag, and if you go to Europe or Latin America, the relative importance of the sector is a little less than it is in Brazil. And those are things that are definitely different, and you need to understand, the stage of each market and the consolidation of each market. But also, I think it's worth mentioning, Victor, that despite the differences, there's also a lot of things in common. So if you go speak to a farmer in Brazil, US, or Europe, the farmer at the heart, it's more than a job. It's a calling. So they all want to do the same thing. They all want, care about the legacy of what they leave for the family, the environment, and it's really a trait that I don't think changes much between the countries. It's the farmers, they want to do well, and they act in a way that is definitely quite amazing to see. And the other thing that I noticed is that beyond the farmers, the ag community, be it fertilizer players or crop protection or seed, whatever it is, it's a lot of good people that have a tremendous amount of good intentions, and usually people that are very easy to get along with. So that doesn't change. Depends, regardless of where I've been to, you can find that same kind of behavior and the same attitude in the people that are involved in the agriculture, which is nice to see.
Very interesting to see what make everybody the same and the difference between the cultures, but the goal is to work together and make everything grow.
It may have to do with the pace of agriculture. So, of course, agriculture has changed a lot and will continue to change, but it's also an industry that change comes at a pace. So you have one chance to get things right per year. So a lot of trust, a lot of risk as well, depending on how you want to change. So I think that kind of drives the profile of the average person in agriculture to be open to change, but also to be mindful, to be respectful of the past. And I think that is just the common thing that I see across the people that are involved in this industry.
And looking back at your first experience setting up operations for Timac Roller in the United States, what were the key challenges of entering a new market from scratch?
Yeah, that is a challenge that for me it's been almost 20 years now since I had that experience. And but it was definitely, in my case, almost like my startup setup. And I really feel like that today when I look at all these people involved in startups and starting business and ventures and all that. I mean, that was my closest experience to startup as I can think of. And of course, in my case, Victor, was even harder because I was coming to a different country, different culture. I mean, the language to begin with was very different and difficult for me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of challenges that I had to overcome from getting to know the people, getting to know the players, getting to even finding ways to get received and finding ways to get meetings with these people. So that was definitely a lot of learning. It takes a lot of persistence sometimes to do that because the beginning, like always, is not easy. And then eventually, if you act with good intention, transparency, and people see what you're trying to do and your honesty, eventually you find the people that are willing to help you. Like is the case going back to my previous comments on agriculture and the people that are involved. It's a lot of good people, and I think eventually you find your partners, you find your her sponsors, the people that really want to see you succeed because they see your cause. And that to me was no different. So after a little while, you know some people that introduce you to others, and then I have a couple of people that I'll never forget what they did to me in Florida. You know, people like gentleman by the name of Pete Maravich and Brent Sutton, and so those are people that you'll never forget because they open up a door that allowed me to be where I'm at today. So those are very generous people that were very kind to me, and I can only thank them for that.
There's a saying that I like to reproduce is people needs people, right?
Exactly.
So nobody can create nothing big alone by yourselves. So we need each other to make great things.
And I think it depends on Victor, the way you approach people, right? If you come with genuine interest in learning and in curiosity of what they do and how you can fit in. And I think if you have that kind of a humble approach, which, I think it's the best way to do it anyways, it goes a long way. So people kind of open up more easily, and then from there you have a good start for whatever you were trying to do, right? So and build the trust over time. That's all about the trust that you are able to generate as well. So it was a fantastic experience. I look back and I look at what TMAC has in the US today, in the Southeast where I started, and it's super rewarding to see where they are, what they became, and the things they were able to do with my little humble starting there many years ago. So that's nice to see.
It's amazing to see the the reward of spending so many time, so many efforts for building something, and now see the results. Probably make you feel proud, right?
Yes, it gives some pride for sure. That's nice to see.
So you led the major digital transformation initiatives at Yara. What were the biggest hurdles in implementing such systems across large teams?
Yeah, I had a chance to go through a couple of them, some major ones, and I think what I learned, a few things that I'll mention here. One is definitely try to not make them IT projects, Victor. So every time you have the opportunity, you should try to make them business projects, not IT. So ownership and the results that come out of those projects, it's the business, it's the line that has to live with them. So you should never delegate, in my opinion, never delegate a technology, an IT project to be an IT, people only behind. So you need to be close. You need to drive it. You need to hopefully make sense of it to the business and improve your business via the IT project. So that's a big learning. I would say that most of these IT projects, they become also a major change for people's work and the way they do the work. So I think every time you can, very early on, you should try to help people make sense of the project, why it's needed, what you're trying to do, what's the outcome, and then at the same time you do this, hopefully you're addressing the concerns that people might have, and that comes with a lot of change management and hopefully helping people see again the reasons and why you're doing that and how it's going to be at the end. It should be a positive impact for the business and for the people involved as well. So I think those are 2 or 3 learnings that I had, and then I also think that it depends on the business you are, but for many companies, the IT is not the end. It's just a means. So unless you are IT company that know what you do for a living, it's IT service, so that's a different deal. But in many cases, I think most of us find ourselves in companies that IT is just not the core business. So I think you should be really mindful of that and see IT not as a standalone and not the end of it either. So it's a means to do what you want to do better, simply put. So if you keep those things in mind, I think your chance of succeeding and not stressing the organization too much are definitely higher.
And can you share an example of a strategic decision that helped optimize operations or P&L performance significantly?
Yes, I can definitely give examples of optimizing or right-sizing sales teams, but I'll give an example that is probably more relevant for companies that are a little more asset-heavy. So if your company has a lot of assets, footprint, plants, facilities, terminals, and such. So the work that I was doing before, Victor, always part of the work was always assessing the how fit your network of assets is, right? So then you have to look at the ways to optimize it, ways to consolidate if you can, ways to explore synergies if you can. So I've done quite a bit of work in terms of optimization of asset footprint, and that is, can you combine assets? Can you expand the market and what kind of new assets you might have in a new geography? And I think if you do that properly, in many cases you will you'll find ways to convert fixed costs into variable costs, or you definitely find ways to lower your capital costs as well. So you can look at the margins that you're generating as an asset, and that's in theory could be fine. But then you take into consideration all the costs that you have to depreciation, refurbishing the assets and maintenance. There's a lot that comes under that line, and it could definitely be a tremendous impact if you have an asset footprint that's not fit for the future as you want. Also, in terms of sustainability, is your asset clean enough for new regulations, new claims that you want to make in terms of sustainability? So I think those are points that are very critical for managers to look at in terms of optimization of the assets.
So you mentioned about what you have done successfully through your career, and you recently stepped down after nearly 20 years at IATA. How do you approach professional transitions at this level? I mean, what does this next chapter look like for you?
Well, it's a very timely question that you have. As you said, I'm in the middle of that transition right now as we speak. And to me, it's not something too natural because I changed jobs within the companies I was with, but I never changed companies too much. So in a way, changing a job is also a change. Even if within the same company, but definitely this time it feels a little different. So I'm taking the time to really, see what I want to do next in terms of involvement, and also really trying to find a good fit that I believe is going to fulfill me for the next chapter as much as I have been fulfilled with the previous jobs that I had in the companies I worked for. So I'm trying to not rush, not take just any job, but really find something that I can relate to, the values of a company that are in line with my values, and then hopefully something that has a purpose that is beyond just being a job, right? So I'm in that transition as we speak.
I don't have 20 years of career, so imagining spending 20 years in a single company and how many network, how many connections you had with people over there, and we've not to mention that there's a world completely different 20 years ago than now. So the way that people join to the jobs nowadays is completely different. So is this becoming a challenge for you as well, or not so much?
No, it's definitely it's different. 20 years ago, I think right now the younger generations, you see a lot less. I wouldn't say commitment. It's not the case. I think you see a lot less stability in terms of starting a job today and staying 20 years. I can relate to that because I tell my kids that I've been with the same company longer than their lives, and sometimes they struggle to understand how can you do that. And I think I could do that because I really, every time I look back and I looked at what I was doing and the company's purpose and the companies, I should say, over 30 years. And I always felt good about that. And I still feel good about what we did before. But you're right, it's a different mindset. And I'm just trying to stay true to the purpose of what I want to do and transition right now. So, but it's been a tremendous run, a tremendous career. A lot of friends that I made in the companies I worked for. And you're right, you leave a lot of your network and friends that hopefully stay contacted in contact with still. So.
Yes, yes. I definitely cannot imagine by spending 20 years in a company. There's a huge difference in terms of generation, I'd say it, right? And I have some familiars, some people from my family that they spend like 35 years at the same company, and I know how relevant it is, but it's very interesting.
I also think no, you're right, Victor. There's no right or wrong. So everybody's different, and things change. But I think and some people are fine staying the same company, the same job for 30 years, and we need those profiles as well. So for me, what I wanted to get out of my career was opportunity to grow, opportunity to meet people, international setup. So I think if you look back and say, okay, I achieved this because I changed jobs every 2 years, or I changed companies, or I stayed in the same company, and the company was the right one for me that allowed me to achieve what I wanted to achieve. It's also okay, right? So I don't think there's a right or wrong, as long as you are happy with what you're doing, feeling valued, and feeling good about your purpose and your company's purpose. I think that's it's all valid. So.
You mentioned like fulfillment, so I think it's very important, and this is one of the ways to stay so long in the same place. You have
Feeling that what you're doing every day is relevant, that matters, and I think if you look, of course, it's my case, but I think if you look broadly, I think it's very hard to find an industry that is as purposeful and as fulfilling as agriculture, because you're talking about helping feed the people, helping take care of the planet. So that alone, means a lot to a lot of people, and that's why you start in this industry, and it's very hard to leave because there's so much purpose, so much good that is done, and so many good people around that before you know it's 20 years and you're still going. So it's very easy to be attracted and be loyal to it.
Yes, it makes sense. It makes sense to me. And Geraldo, what advice would you give to these young professionals in agribusiness that are aiming for leadership roles?
Yeah, there's a lot that can be said, so I'll probably just try to give two or three quick hints. I think one that is very basic that I learned. Somebody told me that very early on is that you should not wait to act and behave as the as what's expected from their next job until you get the job. So, meaning, if you believe that you want that next job, manager or director, whatever that might be, just a more senior position, don't wait to act like that position until you get the job. You should act before, just to show that you are prepared, that you know what it takes, and I think that shows very often. Just don't wait until you get the promotion to do the work. Be mindful and just be prepared. I think the other piece of advice I would offer is try to find a good mentor if you can. And a good mentor could be just a good boss. And I was very lucky early in my career to have good bosses that, in many cases, became friends. And that makes a big difference when you're early in your career, trying to find your way. So, but if you don't happen to have a good boss that you're comfortable with at that point, just try to get a mentor to help you out, to give you advice and hear you out, and hopefully help you steer your career in the right direction. And of course, it's easier more than ever these days. Stay active, stay up to date, stay learning, and there's more ways to do that now than ever before with technology, with so much available. So just be curious and try to keep growing and have that kind of growth mindset that will definitely help you in your career.
Valuable tips that we found here with Geraldo. Geraldo, jumping to our closing questions. It's like a rapid fire here. one book that changed how you think or how you work.
I read Alexander Hamilton's book not too long ago, and I was super impressed with the life that this man led. So it made me think, what am I doing to even use my life a little bit more than what I do now. So, anyways, my point is anything that has to do with keeping your purpose, your experiences growing, and the book about Alexander Hamilton's life was very inspiring to me.
Tell us something that most people don't know about you.
Yes, even though I've had a career that I really love and I'm very proud of, um, I actually wanted to have some career in sports-related activities, athlete or a coach or something, and that has always been my dream job in parallel as well. So.
Very good. So, where can our listeners follow your work and connect with you?
And I try to be active on LinkedIn. So for those listening to this chat here, please feel free to reach out, and if you can let me know that you got to me through this, even better, so I can make a connection. And then, but by all means, reach out, and I'll be very happy to connect with anybody that reaches out, and then hopefully we establish another connectivity there for us.
Very clear. That's it, Geraldo. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your story and your expertise with us. It was a pleasure and an inspiration for me.
Thank you, Victor. I appreciate your kindness and everybody's times as well. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be on this chat with you.
To our listeners, if you found today's episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe and share. And stay tuned for more conversations with leaders driving change in the agriculture industry. Until next time.